The chandelier light in the Hibernian Hall ballroom flickered, casting a warm glow over the stunned crowd as Natalie's heels echoed her retreat. Emma stood tall, her midnight blue gown shimmering, the palmetto embroidery catching the light, like a quiet declaration of her roots. Her heart pounded, not from fear, but from the weight of what she'd just done. Exposed, her cousin's betrayal, in front of Charleston's elite. The Southern Charm Boutique's runway segment had been a triumph. Her designs applauded, but it was her courage that shifted the room's energy. Whispers turned to murmurs of support, and Eliza Fitzgerald, the socialite who doubted her, approached with a softened expression. "Emma, I had no idea," Eliza said, her pearl earrings glinting as she shook her head. "I should have trusted you. Let's talk about that order again." Emma managed a smile, her voice steady despite the adrenaline. "Thank you, Mrs. Fitzgerald. I'd love to make it right." As the crowd dispersed, Robert and Lydia pushed through, their faces a mix of shock and pride. Robert, a broad-shouldered man with graying temples, gripped Emma's shoulders. "You didn't just save the boutique tonight," he said, his voice thick. "You showed us who you are." Lydia, her auburn hair pulled into a neat bun, pulled Emma into a hug. "We should have seen Natalie's game sooner. I'm so sorry, darling." Emma's throat tightened, the warmth of her adoptive mother's embrace mending a fracture she'd carried for years. "It's okay, Mom," she whispered, though the words felt heavy. It wasn't entirely okay, not yet. The scars of Natalie's sabotage ran deep, and the betrayal of someone she'd considered family stung, like salt in a wound. Back at the boutique the next morning, the air felt different. Sunlight streamed through the tall windows, illuminating racks of silk dresses and tailored blazers. Regulars trickled in, their smiles warmer, their questions directed at Emma. Mrs. Sinclair, the widow with a love for pearls, squeezed Emma's hand. "You're the heart of this place," she said, buying a cashmere scarf Emma had recommended. The words were a balm, but the store's ledgers told a harsher truth. Natalie's theft had cost them thousands, and rebuilding trust would take time. Emma threw herself into the work. She redesigned the fall collection, sketching late into the night at her apartment overlooking Rainbow Row, the pastel houses glowing under streetlights. Her designs leaned into Charleston's charm, gowns with lace inspired by Spanish moss, blouses with subtle palmetto motifs. She negotiated with new suppliers to replace the stock Natalie had sold, her voice firm on calls despite sleepless nights. Sophia, her artist friend, stopped by with coffee and encouragement. "You're a force, Emma," she said, her curls bouncing as she gestured at the sketches. "This is your empire now." But the shadow of Natalie lingered. Emma found another note slipped under the boutique's door a week later, written in the same jagged handwriting. "Asterisk, you think you've won. Watch your back." Her pulse quickened, but she tucked it into her growing file of evidence. She wasn't scared, she was vigilant. Installing new security cameras became her next priority. Funded by a small business grant she'd applied for months earlier. The cameras caught nothing for weeks, but Emma checked the footage daily, her laptop screen glowing in the dark as she sipped chamomile tea. At home, tensions simmered. Robert and Lydia were grappling with Natalie's betrayal, their guilt palpable. Over dinner at their King Street townhouse, the scent of shrimp and grits filling the air, Robert broached the subject. "We've cut Natalie off," he said, his fork pausing midair. No more allowance, no stake in the business. She's on her own. Lydia's eyes glistened. She's still family, but we can't excuse this. Emma nodded, her fork tracing patterns in her plate. I don't hate her, she said quietly. I just needed the truth out. The truth, though, had consequences. Natalie hadn't just left the ballroom. She'd left Charleston, or so it seemed. Rumors swirled at the market. She'd been spotted in Savannah, then Atlanta, living off the cash she'd siphoned. Emma didn't care where she was, but the notes kept coming. Another appeared in the boutique's mailbox. You'll regret this. Emma reported them to the police, but without proof of Natalie's whereabouts, they could only file a report. Sophia, ever the skeptic, urged caution. She's unhinged, Emma. Keep those cameras on. Emma agreed, but her focus was the boutique's revival. She launched a social media campaign, posting behind-the-scenes videos of her design process, her hands pinning fabric under the boutique's soft lights. Hashtags like #Southern Charm style and #Charleston Made trended locally, drawing younger customers. Sales climbed, and Eliza Fitzgerald reordered her daughter's debutante gowns, praising Emma's professionalism in a glowing review on the boutique's website. But trust was fragile. Some clients, swayed by Natalie's earlier lies, still hesitated. Mrs. Beaumont, once a loyal customer, returned, but asked pointed questions about inventory. Emma answered patiently, showing her the updated stock lists, her transparency winning the older woman over. You've got grit, Mrs. Beaumont said, buying a tailored blazer. That's rare. Emma's grit was tested when a new problem surfaced. The boutique's biggest supplier, Coastal Couture, threatened to pull their contract. Their manager, Mr. Hargrove, cited inconsistent orders during Natalie's tenure. Emma spent hours on the phone, her voice calm but firm, explaining the sabotage. She sent Hargrove her evidence, screenshots, bank records, and invited him to tour the boutique. When he arrived, a wiry man with a skeptical squint, Emma walked him through her new inventory system, her designs, and the glowing customer feedback. By the end, he extended the contract, even offering a discount. You're the real deal, he said, shaking her hand. The victory felt hollow, without closure. Emma's thoughts drifted to her adoption, the years she'd spent proving she belonged. She'd been a quiet child, her dark hair and hazel eyes a contrast to the Thompsons' fair features. Natalie had exploited that difference, her taunts echoing in Emma's memory. You're not really one of us. Now, with Natalie gone, Emma wondered if she'd ever truly heal that wound. One humid afternoon, while arranging a display of velvet jackets, Emma noticed a familiar face outside. Jenna, her high school friend who'd drifted away after college. Jenna, now a photographer, hesitated before entering. I heard about the fashion show, she said, her voice tentative. I should have been there for you. Emma stiffened, the memory of Jenna's silence during Natalie's earlier attacks stinging. You believed her lies, she said, folding a jacket with deliberate care. Jenna's eyes dropped. I was wrong. Natalie was convincing, and I didn't know the whole story. Can we talk? They met at Poogan's porch that evening, the restaurant's porch fans stirring the sticky air. Over fried green tomatoes, Jenna apologized again. I saw Natalie's posts online, and I didn't question them. I should have known you better. Emma sipped her sweet tea, her guard still up. It hurt, Jenna. I needed you. I know, Jenna said, her voice breaking. Let me make it up. I can shoot a new campaign for the boutique. Free. Emma hesitated, then nodded. Okay, but trust takes time. Jenna's photos, posted weeks later, were stunning. Models in Emma's designs against Charleston's cobblestone alleys, the boutique's windows glowing at dusk. The campaign went viral, drawing customers from as far as Colombia. Emma felt a spark of hope. Maybe some bridges could be rebuilt. But Natalie wasn't done. A month later, a fire alarm blared at the boutique just before a major trunk show. Customers evacuated, and Emma's heart sank as she spotted water damage in the storage room. Sprinklers triggered unnecessarily. The security footage showed a figure in a hoodie tampering with the system the night before. Emma couldn't confirm it was Natalie, but the timing felt too precise. The show was postponed, costing thousands in potential sales. Furious, Emma doubled down. She hired a security consultant to upgrade the alarms and worked with Sophia to host a pop-up sale on King Street, turning the setback into a community event. Locals rallied, buying dresses and scarves, their support a quiet rebuke to Natalie's shadow. Robert and Lydia attended, their pride evident as they mingled with customers. "This is your legacy now," Robert said, his arm around Emma. By fall, the boutique was thriving. Emma's designs were featured in Southern Living Asterisk, and she expanded online sales, shipping nationwide. But closure came one rainy evening when a final note arrived. "I'm done. You win." It was Natalie's handwriting, postmarked from Miami. Emma burned it in her apartment's fireplace, the flames consuming years of doubt. She wasn't just the adopted daughter anymore. She was Emma Thompson, the heart of the Southern Charm boutique. Standing in the store the next day, sunlight glinting off her latest display, Emma felt free. She'd fought for her place, and Charleston had chosen her.